What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. Craig, what's going on, man? How's your week this week?
Oh, it was very good. It's good to see you again, Howard. And I know that we're here on Friday night as opposed to Saturday. It didn't make much sense to do picks on Saturday when the games would be over. So here we are on Friday nights for the next couple of weeks. We've got, for the first time ever, if I'm not mistaken, 6 NFL playoff games to dive into here, Saturday and Sunday. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on some of these games too, and think of how they would go. But we had some line movement, of course, during the week, which we'll get to. A lot of it really surrounding Cleveland and Pittsburgh, I think, for the most part. But other games, lines are pretty much set. For those of you who bet on sports, you have to know by now that you're at the point in the season where the lines are going to be as tight as you can possibly imagine. The odds makers are ahead of this now. They understand who's involved in the games. And a lot of people at this time of the year, Howard, honestly, they don't bet football anymore. They move over, they'll bet college basketball or something else. But, certainly I'll have my opinion, and I know you will too, on these 6 games. And then we'll talk about the college football championship on Monday night.
That's kind of where I figured we would wrap things up with the college national championship. Ohio State against Alabama. What was that? It's like a 9-point spread in that one. As last I saw, right? Nine
Yeah,
points.
the total's like 100 too. It's like
Might as well be, Craig. Might as well be. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. So let's start off with the NFL. Let's start.
okay.
We'll go day by day. We'll start off with the Saturday games. Move on to Sunday after that, and then the national championship is on Monday night. So we can give our leans and start off here. First game of Saturday's slate. Colts Bills. Now Bills have been a 6.5-point favorite in this one for forever since the line opened up, and I don't really see either one of the. I mean, to me, there was a fleeting hope that maybe this line would move a little bit, but it did not at all. I have a hard time going against the Bills. I'm not gonna lie. I have a hard with the way the Bills are playing right now. My only hope here really is that the Colts have success running the ball, but it sounds like DeForest Buckner is going to be fine in the middle of that defensive line. So run Jonathan Taylor all you want. I can't go against what I'm seeing right now in Buffalo. So I mean, I'll take the lean at Buffalo minus the 6.5 points here, Craig. The over under at 51.5. That one I'm a little bit leery about. That one I'm almost tilting on the under here.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think that Buffalo is coming into these playoffs. I think Buffalo and Baltimore in particular are the 2 teams that are coming into these playoffs hotter than any other teams in the NFL. I understand Tampa Bay is playing well. Yes, they are, but their games are close, and Atlanta kept it close for a while there. And I don't really go back to that Detroit game and give it much credence given the way that they played at the end of the year. So I'm with you here. I've never been a Colts fan since the beginning of the season. I am surprised that they did hit their win total. They went over and they went to 11 wins. Rivers definitely played better than I thought. But this is a different animal now, and Taylor is not going to be running against the worst defenses in the NFL in Houston and Jacksonville. I don't think he's going to get 200 yards. I don't even think he's going to get 100 yards. And it's going to be tough for Indy to keep up with Buffalo. This is not like those Indy Tennessee games. So when I look at the 6 games, and I went into this before we started, and I've talked about it on my show this week long, all week long, is there 6 games. Here's what we know. We know, Howard, we're going to be back here next week shocked by something. I don't know what it's going to be, but
I
you know and I know, and now, you've been doing this long enough to know too, that this ain't all going to go as planned. Something is going to happen this weekend. I don't believe that this is the game. I don't believe this is the shocker that Indianapolis goes to Buffalo and win. So I am with you on Buffalo. In terms of the total, it was 52, went down to 51. I'm seeing a lot of 51.5. Look, it's a dangerous total any way you look at it because the Colts want to run the ball. The Bills want to throw the ball. So what's going to be the answer here in this one? I don't love either side, either end of the total here at 51.5, but I do like Buffalo and the points. There are some places that you can buy points online, depending on where you play. A lot of these are offshore sites, clearly, which we don't really talk about all that much. But the reality is that you're down to 6 games this weekend if you're betting in the NFL, and then 4 next week, and then 2, and then 1. Put your best foot forward. If you have to buy a half a point at this stage and lay minus 130, okay. That's it. There's not a lot of games left. So if you feel strongly about that, I think that it's okay to do. I don't normally recommend buying points, Howard, as you know, but I would, if I could get it down to 6, I would.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Buffalo 8-0 against the spread over in their last 8 games also.
Yeah.
Just a nice little trend to take a look at. All right, let's move on to the second game. Rams Seahawks. Yeah, it's Seahawks -3 right now. I'm trying to think if this was this ever at 3.5? I almost
Yes.
feel like it was at 3.5, which
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
definitely would have preferred 3.5 for this game here. Listen, I get it. Russell Wilson is a phenomenal player, no doubt about it. But I look at the Seahawks right now, Craig. I do not like what I see from them. The last 2 times that they've played against the Rams, I mean, listen, I just the Rams defense I think is strong, and I think that with the way that Seattle has been struggling, neither Lockett nor Metcalf has done anything productive against the Rams. In this matchup here, I like the Rams. I'll take the points. I would have preferred the 3.5, but I'll just take my 3 and be happy.
Yeah, as the week went on, it was pretty apparent Goff was going to play, although McVay hasn't given anything away on that one. Um, this is clearly tougher than the others. I think we'll probably be as clear on any pick on Buffalo than any other pick we have. Beyond that, I could really make a case for both sides. I think you have to do that when you're doing this. So for me, there's a couple of plays here. I think it'll be low scoring, especially in the first half. I always worry about Wilson in the second half getting hot. It always seems like he has these huge second halves. So the total in the first half is 20-21. I'd look at under on that. And secondly, this is a nice buy low opportunity. Howard, the public is going to be all over Seattle. They're going to look at this number and they're going to say -3. That's all I got to lay with Seattle. There's always a reason for that. I don't think the Rams showed a lot last week. I know they had to play to get in, but toward the end of that game, it felt like they just kind of were throwing caution to the wind a little bit with Walford, the quarterback there. So I don't think Goff is great, but I also don't think I think he's beat up a little too much. Everyone beats up on the guy. He's not the best quarterback. He's not who he was. But we're getting points in an NFL game, and Seattle's home field is 0. If you're looking at the Seattle side and saying, what are you talking about? Well, look, it is true. Seattle's offense in the last 5 games has struggled. For the last 5 games have been against the top 5 NFL defenses. That is true too. Ramsey neutralizes the best receiver on every team in the NFL. This has been going on all season long. He's having is probably his best season ever. I am with you again. Ironically, here I do think this is a buy low opportunity on the Rams. If Goff played last week and they won, this game would be a pick 'em. There is no doubt in my mind. It's based off one game last week. It's not enough. Take the points. I agree.
All right. Third game of the day, Tampa Bay, Washington. This is one of those lines. It's Tampa Bay -8. And this is one of those where, I turn to Craig and I say, man, this Washington defense, and you look at Chase Young, and he's really, he's anxious to get at Tom Brady. He's talking a little smack there. Both defenses are good enough to keep this a low-scoring affair, and Washington's defense could happen. And then Craig turns around and says, yeah, this line tells me that Tampa's going to blow them out. So just take Tampa and lay the 8 points. How in the world is Washington going to score on them? And so while reluctantly, I'm going to say Tampa and lay the 8, I guess my heart is telling me that I would prefer to see Washington cover this spread.
I think that it's interesting because this is the time of the year that you kind of reflect and go back at the whole season. And of course, you look at who's playing better football, who's playing their best football. Tampa Bay's playing very well. But we can't forget how inconsistent Tampa has been all season long. So in some way, this is going to sound odd, but in some way, I'm kind of hoping that Tampa Bay wins by a lot over Washington because I want to fade them the next week wherever they are, especially against New Orleans, who they've lost to twice. The line will not show it. If New Orleans squeaks out a win against Chicago and Tampa Bay wins and they end up playing each other somehow, New Orleans may only be a 1 or 2 point favorite, and I definitely would take them at that point. But we'll get into New Orleans in a minute. I would lean Tampa. I would. I would lean Tampa here. I think Washington's magic. I don't know. This is the one game on the schedule that when we do our shows on Saturday night that I say you're going to know right away. You're going to know. You're going to know right away. This is not going to be a back and forth 41-34 type game. If it's 3-0 after a quarter, Washington's going to cover the game. I mean, I think if they keep it close early, I think they got a great shot to cover this. But I am going to lean Tampa Bay. I don't love this at all. A lot of the smart people do seem to think that the Bucks are going to roll over Washington, and then Washington's just in an awful spot. This is also a game, by the way, Howard, that the crowd hurts not being there. I would think Washington's crowd would be so jacked. I mean, not having a playoff game for so long, being at home, wanting to beat Tom Brady, that's the shame of this one. And I think the line reflects that. So I'll lean Tampa Bay.
All right, look at that. We're in agreement on 3 straight picks. What could possibly go wrong?
You like Tampa?
I do. Like, I look at Tampa after everything that you and I have gone through. I look at this and I say that this is a game where it doesn't matter what I think, about what Washington could do. This line says Tampa wins, and they win by a lot. And then it's so that's just kind of where I'm at as far as that goes. So
let me follow up with you. Of all the games so far, and we're going to do 3 more games, do you think there's a chance that this is the shocker? That we come, and I'm just asking, that we come back next Saturday and we say, holy bleep, the Bucks did it again. They played so inconsistent. They lost to Tampa. They lost to Washington as an 8-point favorite. Is that something that you could dream could possibly happen? I'm asking legitimately. Do you think that
I do legitimately think it could happen?
Okay.
I do. But there is another game that I also think it could happen, which would be an even bigger shock.
Okay. I think we're going to be in agreement on all these. So, all right. You want to move on to Baltimore, Tennessee, or is there any possible way we could take Tennessee here? You tell me.
If it were 3.5, then I would have taken Tennessee, but it's down to 3 right now. And I mean, listen, this is, these two teams have faced each other before. They know each other very well. It was a huge upset last year in the playoffs. Tennessee beat Baltimore 30-24 earlier on this season.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, Lamar Jackson is definitely playing the best football of his season. And that's kind of what scares me the most for this. However, I think that these two teams play each other close. I don't see Baltimore blowing them out. As great as their defense is, they still gave up 130-plus yards to Derrick Henry last time they played. So I see this one here being a field goal game, which is why I wish that I had the hook. But now that I don't have the hook, I got to go with Baltimore here because of Justin Tucker versus Steven Gostkowski.
That is the key. Howard, this game's going right down to the last minute, right? Like, you see this one, 34-31, a minute left. Who's got the ball? Line is 3. I 100% agree on that one. I don't like Tennessee. I like Tennessee a lot more last year. They don't play any defense. None.
That's a huge issue for them, is that they don't play defense. And if Lamar wasn't playing the ball that he was playing right now, then I'd be okay. I'd be like, oh, well, who cares if Tennessee's secondary stinks? Because Lamar can't throw. But the way he's playing right now, and here's what makes me the most nervous about it. There's no pass rush for Tennessee's defense. Could you imagine Lamar Jackson just standing there in the back? And he's just like, okay, let me see. Give my receiver some time here. No, I'll just run 20 yards this way. Like, that's why I have to give the edge over here to the Ravens.
Yeah, this is the one play. I know it sounds crazy, but this is the one play where if it is a high-scoring game, you're starting to factor in 2-point conversions and missed extra points. It wouldn't surprise me if Baltimore won and didn't cover. I know it's only 3. That's like sort of silly to say with a line this short. But maybe you're better served buying 2 points down to 1. Money line is -175. It's never a great bet to lay that. But I'm with you on the narrative of the game. I do think that it will be a high scoring game. The total is 55. I think it could go over that. Yeah. And I do think it's a final possession type deal. So ask yourself, if it's 28, 28-26, and Baltimore is up. Or how about Baltimore's down 28-26 with a minute to go? They come down, Tucker kicks a field goal, they win, they don't cover. So I do like Baltimore. I can't take Tennessee. I can't, based on what I've seen, I can't take them. They haven't looked strong enough to me this year. And the other thing is, and I know it's fun to talk about, but and I do understand there is motivation for the Ravens to win, but come on, let's get real now. It's the playoffs. Like, you think the Titans aren't motivated to win in the
Yeah,
playoffs
everybody's got
too?
motivation to
Yeah, I mean, the week 6, maybe you can make that claim, but oh, I think the Ravens are going to be all upset because they lost last year. Well, I think the Titans are going to be all upset because they want to win too. So I throw that out, but I think Buffalo and Baltimore are playing their best football. How do you go against them?
Yeah, I can't. I definitely cannot. No doubt about it. But I'm not going to sell Tennessee's offense short in this one, which is why I think it comes close. All right, midday game here. Chicago Bears visiting the New Orleans Saints. Minus 10 points. I mean, that's a lot to give. Obviously, I don't like giving 10 points. I don't like giving two scores. And I'll tell you what, Craig, because this is the game that I look at and say that when we come back next week, we could be in shock.
I
And I'll
agree.
say this because, all right, so Kamara, who had 2 positive COVID tests, tweets out, see y'all Sunday. Doesn't say whether or not he's going to play or not, but he's been out with COVID. We don't know how it's affecting his body. We don't know how it's affecting his stamina. So we look at that. Michael Thomas is back. Okay, great. But there's a definite rift between him and Drew Brees. And while Brees and he will probably just, try and sync up as much as possible for as many targets as they can, they still have been off the field. They just haven't been working together constantly throughout this season for me to have that much confidence in it. You got Sean Payton with the nonsense of Taysom Hill taking the ball out of Drew Brees' hands inside the red zone. And while, yes, this might be the last hurrah for Drew Brees, and that's why a lot of people are eyeballing the Saints to go to the Super Bowl. I don't really love. I like the Saints' run defense. I don't love their secondary, and I think that a lot of people are underselling the Bears' defense a little too much here. So I'd throw out the risk here, and I would just say, give me Chicago and the 10 points, and this could be the upset game that we're looking at.
I do, and it's crazy. We've never agreed so much. I think the Bears have a chance to win. I think the Bears have a chance to win the game. The Saints have been really overrated, I think, all season long. Breeze has not been the same. They've had some paper wins, big time. Have New Orleans. Their 2 best wins, I believe, were against Tampa Bay, and you can't take those away. But against the rest of the league, I don't think that they've been that great. Yeah, they beat Denver without a quarterback, without 2 quarterbacks, without 3 quarterbacks. And Chicago played really close with Green Bay last week. I could make the case that Green Bay is a lot better than the Saints are, even though that their records are similar. I think Green Bay is much better. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me to see the Bears win this. They have a little Tennessee-ish feeling from last year. I understand there's always that risk factor with Trubisky, but they're running the ball much better. They played really well in the second half. Would I have the stones to just take the plus 390 on the money line and run? No. Obviously, I'll take my points, and I'll take the 10 points. The Saints blew out Carolina last week. I'm not really sure what was going on with Carolina, but they were playing severely undermanned, and Bridgewater played horrible. That is true. There were some bad bounces there that led to some interceptions. So I am with you here. There's got to be a game on this 6-game slate. Look, it's really easy if you're not betting on any of these games and you're just doing picks and you just say, give me the favorite, give me the favorite, give me the, because it looks like that. But what you have to know is that if you watch this live stream next Saturday night, in all likelihood, either Tampa or New Orleans, one of them is going to lose. It doesn't feel like it right now, looking at these lines, but it's the NFL. Now, in the past, when you get through this round and you move on to the next round, there's a high percentage of the big favorites covering in those home games. Specifically, it's really hard next week to fade Kansas City or Green Bay. Usually those teams do really, really well in the first game that they play in the playoffs. But wild card Saturday and Sunday has always had upsets in the past, and there's gonna be one, if not two. I think this is one. So I'll take the Bears plus the 10.
Damn. See, and because I don't really see the Rams being an upset over the over the Seahawks. Like they've seen each other twice already this season. They know each other really well. They've played each other over the years in the same division. Um, and it doesn't matter to me 3 seed versus what is it, a 6 seed that they're looking at. That doesn't scream upset to me. If Washington beats Tampa or if Chicago beats the Saints, that's the upset, and that's I'm really afraid. I do a lot of playoff pools for fantasy, and one of them that I do, you can only take one player from each team, and so the
Oh
question
yeah.
is, you know, so I look at like the Ravens and the Titans, and I'm like, do I use Lamar Jackson if there's a possibility that the Titans end up winning this one, and I don't get Lamar Jackson for the rest of the way? I lose my quarterback. That's a tough one there. For the same token, do I use Derrick Henry? Because if I lose a running back, and what kind of value? So I mean, it's crazy like that. And then I look at the Saints, and I'm like, it's Kamara or nothing for me. But man, if that's a one and done, you just want to like slap yourself in the head.
Yeah.
All right, so
And by the way, in that scenario, by the way, I definitely would play Henry. I mean, win or lose.
sure.
I mean, his prop total on FanDuel is 120.5. I mean, after this week, it ain't going to be that high no matter what. It doesn't matter who they play against. I think if I were you, I would roll that out there. But, the Saints 2 weeks ago, when they played on Christmas night and they played against Minnesota, I'll tell you what, the Vikings just moved up and down on them on the field, no problem whatsoever. So I don't know. I think the Bears have a chance in this one. I do think that the line. I don't think the Saints are going to blow them out. The Saints really don't blow anybody out.
They really
except
don't.
for Tampa Bay and Denver in that game. Even in that Denver game, they were kind of slugging their way through that too, right? Like it could have been 51-0. It was like 7-3, 10-3.
I love the old 9-6 ball game. All right, well, so if you and I are in agreement now in 5 of these picks, that to me seems like a rarity. So I'm going to let you go first this time with the Cleveland Pittsburgh Steeler game, and I guess you can tell by my poker face and reaction whether or not we're on the same boat here.
Yeah, I have no strong feeling on this game at all. The line opened up at 3. It's now 6. You really have to believe in the Browns to take the Browns, but at the same time, the Steelers have had one half of good football the last month and a half. Nothing would surprise me in this game. It would not surprise me if Cleveland kept it close, if the two running backs all of a sudden ran real well against Pittsburgh. It wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers played well, but they really haven't for a while, except for one half against Indianapolis. And I know that they fought Cleveland last week without Ben Roethlisberger, and they played well for the most part. But the line is big here. Would it shock you if Pittsburgh won 21-17? This game could be 21-10, Howard, with 2 minutes to go, and Pittsburgh could dominate the game like they did against Baltimore, with Baltimore playing no one. Remember that game? And then Baker Mayfield drives them down for a touchdown at the end with no time left. 21-17, you lose, taking Pittsburgh. I don't have a strong opinion on this one. I'm just going to pass it. I would lean under 47.5.
Oh, I love the under on this. No doubt about it. So we're definitely in agreement there. I'm going to lean Steelers. One of my biggest fears. I mean, listen, Kevin Stefanski he's not going to be on the sidelines. He has no communication. Alex Van Pelt's going to be calling the plays. Mike Pfeiffer, the special teams coach, he's assuming the head coaching responsibilities here. But I had an opportunity to talk to Paul DePodesta, the chief strategy officer for the Cleveland Browns, and I asked him, really, because we were commenting about the ground game that Stefanski brought over from Kubiak and Dennison and implemented it there, and was really trying to see what DePodesta's reaction was regarding the volume that Nick Chubb should be getting in this game and what we've seen in these games. And he couldn't say anything because he obviously he's not giving anything away. Right. But when you start reading between the lines, you start hearing what he's talking about, how, the running game, opens up the play action, but the passing game opens up the running game, and, Kareem Hunt and the play action, and he started talking about that. And all I wanted to do was go vomit in a bucket and just toss my head, my hands up in the air regarding the Browns. And if they're not going to give Nick Chubb 20 carries in this game, there's no way they win this game. And I think that Pittsburgh, it's Big Ben, and he's going up against a defense that has one good guy in the pass rush right now in Myles Garrett. But the secondary is dealing with injuries, and Denzel Ward, their best cover corner, is out with COVID. I think the Steelers win this game, and I think they cover the points. If you could guarantee me 20 touches for Nick Chubb, then I would go the other way. But listening to what I've heard so far, it wasn't. Was it you
Yeah,
I was talking to about the fact that we could see the Steelers limping into the playoffs at 11-5, and then all of a sudden running the table and going,
absolutely.
to the
Yeah,
championship?
absolutely. No, I feel the same way about that, but they didn't limp. They played really well against Indianapolis. That changed it for me.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
And played very well against Cleveland. And I think that that's kind of my problem here with this game is I think the Steelers can dominate this game from start to finish without being flashy and just getting through it and still not cover. I definitely could see it. Again, 20-10, 2 minutes left. Cleveland does nothing the whole entire game. They can still score a touchdown at the end and hurt you. And the Steelers have been hurt a lot at the end of these games. And so, look, it seems unfathomable that a team can get through this without their coach and the play caller and all that. I am totally in agreement with you there. They're up against it. But Howard, if they're up against it so bad, why is the line only 6? Why isn't it 12? Why isn't it 15?
Because no, see, because you can't put it that high when you're talking about a defense, like a divisional game with two teams that have really gone at it that much. I mean, I don't think you can blow the line up that much, especially with the way the Steelers had played. But I mean, again, I get you. Why wouldn't the line be bigger?
Right.
Yeah,
On,
I'm just so disappointed in the Browns right now. Is really what it comes down to.
on top of that, this line, Howard, opened at 3. That's how close they thought this game was. No home field advantage to Pittsburgh whatsoever. So if the Browns practice all week long and the coaching staff is there, it's a -3 for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here going, how in the world is the line only -3? So, these are just things that I think about with this. And it is, I think you have to, like, when you get to this point, have a confidence pool, I suppose. And in
Mm-hmm.
terms of confidence with the picks this week, I don't know. We can end with this, but I would say that most confidently, I think is Buffalo at 1.
Yep.
It's Baltimore for me at 2. I don't think that you feel the same way there, but it's 1 with Buffalo, 2 with Baltimore, 3 with the Bears, 4 with the Rams, 5 with the Bucks, and then whatever happens on Sunday night. I think that that's the way that I see that.
I might just flip flop the Bears, Saints, and the Rams, Seahawks with you as far as like confidence level
Yeah.
goes. But that's probably about it. That's
Okay.
probably about it.
You want to do Monday night real quick?
Let's do Monday night. Why not?
Okay. Look, Ohio State is playing their best football. Clearly, they just dismantled Clemson, played fantastic against them. Fields threw for, I believe it was 6 touchdowns or 7 touchdowns or something like that. The total 75. Truthfully, Alabama, Howard, hasn't stopped anybody defensively all season long, and in championship games, Alabama has not been great. But I'll just keep it short and sweet here. Alabama's getting Jalen Waddle back for this game. He's going to be a very high pick in the draft eventually, Howard. There's no doubt. Devonta Smith obviously is the Heisman Trophy Award winner. Najee Harris is fantastic too. I think Alabama takes a lead. They're up. I think Alabama puts at least 50 on Ohio State here. The only question is, essentially, does Ohio State get to 40? I'm not going to overrate Ohio State based off that game last week against Clemson. I'm sorry. Clemson's defense was not good this year. I mean, go back and watch. The difference between Clemson and Ohio State last year versus this year was night and day. How about Clemson going to Notre Dame and getting smashed defensively by them? They could have won the game, but they couldn't stop them at all. They also couldn't stop Ohio State. I think Alabama is going to roll over Ohio State, and I don't think it's going to be close. And I hate to say that because I want a great Monday night game, but I think that Ohio State's in trouble. I don't think they match up well here. The line has just risen up to 9. I think it's going to go even higher. And I would have loved to get Alabama at 7, but I'm not going to take the points here with Ohio State. I just can't do it. SEC versus Big Ten. I'm going to side with the SEC.
All right, beautiful. I don't really have very much of an opinion on either one. I will just side with you. I'll verbally retweet what you just said, Craig.
Where have I heard that?
I don't know. All right, well there you go, guys. Those are our picks. Those are our leans, whatever you want to call them. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend, Super Wild Card Weekend, if you're buying into the NFL's hype there, and then enjoy the national championship on Monday night. Want to just say big thanks to Matt Sells for producing, and as always, Craig, it's been a pleasure. Love doing these live streams. We'll be back next Friday. We'll recap, and then we'll give our next picks beyond there. But for right now, I'm Howard Bender. He's Craig Mish. This has been the Wager Alarm live stream, and we'll catch you next time.